Hey guys, we're live and we are live with our good friend Julie. Julie, I think this is your third or fourth appearance up
Yeah,
here, hanging out with me, which is
that
pretty
seems
awesome.
about right.
Which makes you the sorry, I think the most often appearing guest so far.
Oh my
You,
goodness.
Tom Wakechild has been up a couple times. Martin Patet has been up twice. Um, so all of the favorites come back sooner or later.
How about Mrs. Is it Blippy or Blipper?
Miss Flipper. Yeah, Miss
Miss
Flipper.
Flipper.
She's um I no longer consider her a guest. I don't know if I consider you a guest anymore. Uh now
Yeah,
you guys are fixtures. You guys are
yeah.
the council that I need. Um so let's see how we want to proceed. I think I want to start by catching up with you and you in the course. For me,
Yeah.
I find that I practice and practice. And then all of a sudden, everything all on its own without any effort on my part, something shifts and it seems deeper than ever
Hmm.
before. Like I'm fully immersed, no longer practicing, but I'm fully living the course. And then I might shift back to practicing and practicing again. Uh,
Yeah.
how's, how does things unfold for you? How are things unfolding now?
I feel like the practice never leaves. The vigilance never leaves. But I agree with you that these unfoldings come in where something blossoms and it's kind of like a mini awakening, you wake up to a new level and oh my goodness, everybody's so beautiful, or
Right, right.
I can't believe it's this simple, and and then maybe there's another layer you're gonna have to go through.
The word that's been coming up with several guests for probably the past 2 weeks, revelation. That
Hmm.
we receive these revelations almost like a download of um, a little more knowledge. I don't want to say information because in the end, it seems uh, we can get enough information. Uh,
Yeah.
I think if you've been through the course once or twice, you have all the information you need, but you might not have all the knowledge. You might have not have access to all the knowledge because it's still ego blocks.
Hmm.
So maybe going back to the introduction, that we're not receiving, we're a, a block to what is already there
Hmm.
has been lessened or maybe even removed entirely.
Yeah. I see more and more. It's not like if I have some epiphany, it's not that I need to share it with anybody. It is, although I still might want to express in some way, but it's more that can I look at everyone and everything and see their innocence, see their holiness, see their beauty, and that's the gift. Is not getting anyone to listen to you or do what you do, or the gift is in see how beautiful everyone is.
Right. Um, and I loved how you said gift because it really is a gift to,
Hmm.
and I don't know, uh, it seems like we've, I don't want to say taken it for granted, but maybe for much of our life, we're coasting and we don't see the beauty of other people. We're so caught up in our wariness, our uh, day to day. This time of year, we're so caught up in our Christmas shopping and parking spaces that, and getting sick of crowds. But every once in a while, another little block is removed. And where I think it
Yeah.
was Thomas Merton who said that if we truly saw how beautiful we were, who we really truly were, uh, he said, I guess the worst thing that could happen is that we would get nothing done because we'd fall to our knees and worship with each other.
Yeah, that's true.
Guys, feel
I
free to
think
ask.
seeing that,
Go
oh,
ahead.
go ahead.
I was just going to say, feel free to ask questions. You can ask questions to Julie. You can ask questions to me and Julie, however you guys want.
Hello. I can't quite see who that. I don't know why. It's my phone's too far away from me,
Right.
but someone said hi.
Yep. Anna said hi. Kat said hi. Justina said hi. Big Al says that he subbed to you, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Big Al. Um, I was just going to say, seeing that I have always caused every scrap of pain that I ever experienced is so empowering. It's such a relief because I think one of the lessons in the course is I will not hurt myself again today. And you really start to see how the orientation of your own mind is the cause of pain, you really wouldn't hurt yourself again. And it's amazing.
What um what a powerful statement. It's so funny that uh, decades of reading the course, and I will hear something, um,
Hmm.
and it strikes me as brand new,
Yeah.
like I had never heard it before. I absolutely love it. I have the online version of the course uh, right now, and I'm going
Hmm.
to bring that up. Can you? This is lesson 330. Can you unpack that?
Oh, okay.
Uh, I will not hurt myself again today. Why?
Yeah.
What do we mean by hurting ourselves, and why? Why do we hurt ourselves?
I think it's let's see, what do we mean by hurting ourselves is an orientation of thought. It's kind of hard to hit head on because when you see you've trained very hard to see every single thing and every single being as separate, and that you've trained really hard like it's your job, because it's an incredible feat we achieved to experience what isn't possible, separate identity, as if it's a real thing, impossible, right? So we've trained so hard to achieve this, and we did it. Check the box. We did it. We really believe we're bodies. We believe the identities are separate. We believe we can be hurt. We believe we are the bodies that die. We believe all of that, right? And to understand that you can go home now, there's a place to reorient to that's literally heaven. That is where we all are now in our beingness. And that's the truth of us. That's the only possible thing is love. And to understand love is everywhere, it's ever present. And you can always orient toward that and be guided toward it. And then you don't get hurt.
It's amazing to consider what you just said. We've literally trained ourselves to view each other as
Yeah.
separate. We've trained ourselves to view ourselves as small and inconsequential, not important. Uh, we've trained ourselves into our busyness, but we never stop
Hmm.
and think there truly is another way of living, another way of seeing the world.
Yeah.
Now, I think you mentioned before, intuitively, you sort of sensed that from a young age, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess I remember when people ask you to tell your story, your spiritual story, and you tried to find the beginning of it, I just kept going back a little further. And then I remembered just being a child, walking alone amongst the wildflowers. That always became a touchstone for me of complete peace and joy. But it seemed like with people, the peace and joy would be gone. And with flowers, the peace and joy was there. So I had some learning to do. I had no idea I was projecting fear out on everything. But now, as a big kid, I do understand that's what I do and that it can be undone.
I hope people pick up on the point that you actually accepted, just in that sentence, full responsibility for what you were experiencing.
Hmm.
And that it was you were the one who was projecting, which means that you are the one that will
Yeah.
also uh, be the one to um, Is there a word for unproject? Is it unproject? Is that the actual
I just think undo, well, extend,
undo?
extend, we
Extend,
extend love.
undo, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I like the word undo, uh,
Hmm.
because I think that undoing offers the extension.
Yeah.
That once we see that, I think if we
Hmm.
keep trying to extend love without the undoing, we keep hitting these blocks, and we start asking, why is it so difficult? Why is it so hard? Why isn't this
Yeah.
person cooperating? Can't they see that I'm extending all the damn love that I have to this person or that
Yeah.
person? Um, but you know, the course is really the first 50 lessons, especially a course in undoing, removing all of those blocks, all of the filters that we have,
Hmm.
and then, like you said, we wake up and we see how beautiful everything is. I have a question for you right off
Yeah.
the bat.
Okay.
Kat says, how do you stop yourself from just telling everybody I can help you? I know the answers when they tell you all their problems and you feel like you have a little secret in A Course in Miracles.
Yeah. Let's see. Sometimes I haven't stopped myself. And so then I see the effect of that and I understand it's like, "Wah, wah, wah," like no, no point. I shouldn't tell people. Now I'm getting it because I've been learning. I need to look into them, see the freedom and the beauty in them, see the holiness in them, see the innocence in them, allow it to extend. And then once I've seen that, I might be called upon to say something or do something.
Right? I find it very important to remind myself I'm not here to fix people. I'm not even here to
Right.
fix myself. Um,
No.
you know, it's funny that that came up. Did you see Keith Kavanaugh's just now recent post? Uh, the self that needs improvement is not real,
I didn't see it, but I agree.
right?
Yeah.
And the question was uh, that when I'm trying to catch myself making judgments and see someone differently, am I changing the ego personality? In other words, does a miracle come into mind that is trying to make the ego into a better person?
Could you say that one more time?
Yep. When I'm trying to catch myself making judgments and see someone
Yes.
differently, am I changing the
Hmm.
ego personality? In other words, does a miracle come into the mind that is trying to make the ego into a better person?
So let's see. The miracle comes into our mind. I think our shared mind, but it seems like we each have our sector of it. And in this moment, the image I'm getting is like a little grabber, like a claw, will come and pull you back into yourself. And that's how I'm seeing the miracle in this moment in
Right,
response to the question is like just by noticing that I'm judging, I'm expressing a willingness to be healed. And when the miracle comes, it kind of pulls me back into the self I share with you and everyone. And it gives me, I see things differently. So the ego personality, I mean, it can go up, down, left, right. It's not really changing. The change is an illusion too. But Holy Spirit uses change as a blessing here. And the thing is, I don't really know anything about it. I just let Holy Spirit do its work, and however everything looks is how it looks.
right. And when we hand things over to the Holy Spirit, um, then we're relinquishing the judgment that there's anything that
Yeah,
needs to be fixed.
right.
You know, the Holy Spirit will not even recognize, you know, that which our own ego is saying, um, I need to fix this person or that person or even fix myself.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Holy Spirit just offers that all accepting smile that
Yeah.
all is and all is perfect.
And you don't
It's
have to fake it. So, the most helpful thing I found on my journey is being so honest 24 hours a day with Holy Spirit. So, if the ego sends me a thought, he's a real jerk. That's what I'm going to share with the Holy Spirit because that's where I need the help. So pretending over or trying to enact the role of somebody who sees the innocence in everyone is never ever going to work. but sharing with Holy Spirit or Jesus every single thought that comes to me that I feel a charge on because I believed it, that helps.
And our judgments is so insidious in that uh,
Hmm.
they can become spiritual judgment. That
Yeah.
I have something, my myself, my spiritual ego has something that's
Hmm.
going to help someone else's non-spiritual ego.
Yep.
So speaking of ego, our friend Evan says, "What's this ego thing everyone is talking about?"
I would say it's who we're not. But when we feel bad, when I feel not at peace, I think you're an ego and I think I'm an ego. And in my invented experience, I make an ego for myself and I make an ego for everyone I call other. And it's complete insanity. But as I learn to reorient toward our shared identity, then I get to leave the insanity behind. And ego is like a tool that Holy Spirit can use because we become communication devices for love. So it's just like the tube or the conduit that we let Spirit use.
Beautiful. I always like the acronym for ego, edging God out.
Yeah.
The ego is insistent that this is the way things are, this is the way things should be,
Yeah.
and specifically for me, and the ego knows best. Or as George Harrison in a song on Let It Be, he wrote about the ego. I, me, mine, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. All
Oh
through the day,
yeah.
yeah, all through the day, all through the night, I, me, mine, I, me, mine. And the ego is
Hmm.
always, what's in it for me? Uh, how can I get more? How can I get less? Uh, it's seeing the world through very specific filters.
Hmm.
Um, our friend Salina says, "Did you ever believe in angels?"
Yeah. Oh, the ABBA song is going through my head right now. um, I guess I didn't really, as a child, I didn't need the concept. But now that I look back on it, I feel like I had so many around me out there in the wildflowers. They weren't physically visible to me. And now that I work with what I call my light friends, but I really don't want to define them, you could look at them as angels. And the way they encourage me to look at everyone is everyone has an angelic nature, and it's you're not here to see the good things about their egos or their bodies or their pasts or their personalities. You're not here to analyze that. You're here to see the angelic nature everyone has and to bring it forward through willingness.
Beautiful, beautifully said. And Selena, I'm glad you asked that question because that gave us such a beautiful answer. Um, for me, the answer was yes, I did believe in angels, and then I tried very hard not to believe in angels, and yes, I do believe in angels.
I
Um,
like it.
and it's funny how we fall back to, how I fell back to things that seemed self-evident when I was a kid, when
Yeah.
the world literally was magical. Like how you said, the wildflowers, everything was alive, everything was perfect, everything was not only dancing, but it was inviting me to dance along with it. And
Hmm.
then somewhere there was a line I didn't even see that I stepped over, and the world became less magical. It
Yeah.
didn't invite me to dance anymore, although it always was. But I got busy. I got too busy to join the dance or even to see that there was music playing. Um,
Yeah.
there is, the very ending. You remember Calvin and Hobbes, the comic
Yeah.
strip? The
Hmm.
ending was really sad. Uh, one day, Calvin looked at Hobbes and saw a stuffed tiger and walked away.
Oh my goodness.
It's a little heartbreaking, isn't it?
Yeah.
Um,
I'm a little nervous, like, don't cry, don't cry.
um, and that really. uh, sort of defines what happens in our life. But
Hmm.
as you know, as I think we all sort of sense, I think everyone here probably senses that um, there comes a time when we look at Hobbes and we see a living, breathing, playful tiger all over again. That
Yeah.
life becomes reenchanted all over again.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the magic of the Course in Miracles, the daily reenchantment that we can get with each
Definitely.
other and the world. Uh, it's the pure light of who I really truly am through the magic of technology gets to dance with to join with the pure light and magic that's Julie. And in essence,
Yeah,
it's the
that's
same. It's
beautiful.
the same light uh, that is just playing Julie and playing Eric.
Right. We could
Let's
just
see what
float
else.
off right now.
Hey, our friend Skitz says, Yogi, your guest has the most wonderful smile. It's such a warming laugh. It's such a warming laugh.
Thanks, everybody.
Our friend Dr. Tom is here. He says, Hare Krishna. Tom is a new friend, came in 1 or 2 weeks ago, and he is
Hmm.
a devotee of Krishna. He's a bhakti
Okay.
yoga of yogi of love. Beautiful practice.
Okay. That fits.
It does very much. I have
Yeah.
often said, for me, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna outlines four main paths of yoga, and
Hmm.
I always thought there is a fifth unmentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, and it's the Course in Miracles. That it's the yoga of forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah. Seeing through. Seeing through.
Exactly. Um,
Yeah.
we do this often, but let's do it one more time. How do we define forgiveness?
Let's see. I might have said this last time. Seeing through what is not here to what is here.
Beautiful. I'm going to piggyback back to that, or return to that, and then piggyback on it in just a second. Because Evan
Mhm.
had a follow up question. Can the ego help you survive like an instinct?
I would say in the story it can appear to, and we live stories and we get caught up in our stories. So today I might be acting out or living a story where the instinct of my ego does something. I would say the difference now is that I'm not very attracted to reasoning out or analyzing or interpreting what it was my ego or your ego did. I just like to more be in the presence of our being, and as much as I can just put it in charge, because in my experience putting the being in charge takes care of all the tiny little details. But I won't pretend that I'm not still an ego thought addict. I am. I'm a recovering ego thought addict.
Um, yeah, I like that. I think as long as we truly believe that we are an ego, for however long that is, and
Mhm.
it's not saying that we need to uh, step out of that. I think that happens. Uh, we're in this world. We're in a world of ego. Uh, the
Mhm.
ego plays a role in this world, but that doesn't mean it's who we are. And when we start to wake up, then we see this world is an illusion. The ego is an illusion. Uh, and we sort of find ourselves smiling more and more at the ego games. And that, you know, we look at animal species that are egoless. You know, you look at a fox, and They uh, defend themselves when attacked. They eat when they're hungry. They sleep when they're tired. There's no ego involvement of, you know, I'm a fox. Look out for me. Everyone get out of my way. Um, and I think that we are, as the ego lessens, it's, or as our identification with the ego lessens, it's the same thing where they need to, there's little to defend any longer, you know? And the
Yeah,
course says, it's our defenselessness itself is our true
right.
strength and power.
Hmm.
Although our friend Evan insists that skunks have an ego. You might have a good point there. I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue that.
I make an ego for animals. The deer were visiting my yard yesterday, and I found myself worried about their food supply. So I had to stop and work with that. And I did end up throwing an apple out the window. And I found myself researching what can you feed deer? And I found myself wondering, should I feed deer? And so that's an ongoing thing in my experience. It's everything's for our learning
Right.
and unlearning.
Rowena says God exists. It's God or the ego. You can't have both.
Yeah.
And I do agree with that. That um, it isn't either or, but it is belief or not belief. That
Yeah.
uh, as long as we believe that we are an ego, then uh, we lessen our experience um, and our connection to God. But as the ego subsides, and every once in a while, we do get that revelation, that holy instant where
Hmm.
the the ego will vanish for a moment, and we will be joined uh, as one, and all there is the wonderfulness of God, and then
Hmm.
you know the ego edges back in.
It's interesting. Sometimes I feel like a dementia patient because I realize my mind is let go in many ways and I'm just waiting for the next instruction. And in other ways, it hasn't at all. But with each new layer where it seems I've let go of trying to control all the details, I'll realize suddenly I don't I don't know what's going on. In the sense of having analyzed it and reasoned it out and planned it and trying to control it, I'll suddenly come back to my old ego and say I have no sense of what's going on or how it should continue. But there's something to return to, which is the setting of just being shown, just being told, just being instructed, just being carried, just like somebody would tell a dementia person with dementia, your room is this way, you know, life tells you what to do.
Right. Um, it's an amazing place when you start surrendering more and more. Now, my friend Miss Flipper, our friend Miss Flipper, pointed out the word surrender isn't actually used in the course, uh,
Yeah.
but it is a for me it is a very beautiful word.
Hmm.
Um, but I think it's not used because it implies that there's someone there that can surrender. And
Yeah.
that
And a
the ego,
battle. It implies a battle.
right? The ego can't surrender itself
Hmm.
because the ego has no wish to surrender itself. But I always found it a very poetic word of the experience when, for however long, the ego is seen through, and when everything comes back, the ego comes back. It feels like a surrender. It feels like something was let go of. That you know, I
Hmm.
can sort of liken the ego to a fist, and I go through life clenched, defensive,
Hmm.
uh, always viewing everything in a very tense you against me against this. Um, and then there comes that revelation, there comes that moment of everything unclenches. And
Hmm.
everything is soft and gentle and pliable and light filled. And it feels like that fist, that tenseness was just surrendered, just let go of. Um, and brings me to a question. Do you
Mhm.
ever get a, for lack of a better description, a spiritual hangover where you have those moments of complete clarity and light, uh, where you
Mhm.
have that holy instant, and then you find yourself uh, later, sometimes moments later, sometimes hours later, sometimes a day later, uh, very much responding as an ego again. But you remember that light filled
Yeah.
moment and um, with sort of a wistfulness or why can't it always be like this?
Yeah. Sometimes after I've spoken publicly, like within 24 hours after, I'll go into a major cringe, like I'm ashamed of having spoken from spirit. And it's really interesting. It's like the outward and the ease of just expressing, and then ego backlash, some people call it, and then just the horrendous, terrible cringe of you've done something wrong. This is awful. This is horrible. And now I can see that's just an echo of thinking we really made this world. We really made all the strife in this world, and it's real. Death is real, and I made it, and I've murdered, right? As the creator of death, I'm a murderer, a maker, not creator. But any sort of feeling like that is a recall to our original belief that we sinned, we did wrong, when that's not possible. So yeah, that will seem to come back at me.
Right,
And then also in there are areas of my life where I'm in loops with people, like entrenched patterns, just loops where I maybe find safety and the comfort and the familiarity of like a certain repetition of interaction. And in those moments I can feel like, oh, I'm in the old shoe. I've kind of fallen out of the openness of spirit. And I'm in this comfortable old shoe. And now I'm seeing, oh, this has to go, and I don't know what's behind it, and I have to let it go.
um, we're having some talk in the chat about letting go of the ego, uh, and that the more the ego is talked about or concentrated on, the longer it goes on, and which are all excellent points, um,
Mhm,
except that in a conversation about the course, ego comes
mhm,
up quite a bit because as long as we are functioning in the world, there's going to be a certain identification uh, with the ego. I don't spend the majority of
mhm,
my day um, pointing the ego out to myself or in other people. I don't, uh, you know, walk down a busy street and go ego, ego, ego. You guys are all egos. I don't. Uh, I don't even catch myself now thinking I'm coming from the ego. I just know that it's there, and then I choose to turn everything over to the Holy Spirit as often as possible. And when I do that, I find that at this point in my life, um, there's really it happens almost seamlessly now. That I catch myself with a smile, that recognizing this was an ego judgment, an ego statement, an ego whatever, and it just without even having to make that decision, it just gently slides into uh, the gentle response, the gentle smile of the Holy Spirit.
yeah, definitely. I think the in my practice, the feeling is the portal to the healing.
Right.
So the priority for me is if I don't feel good, it's really important at this point in whatever my evolution that I stop if I can. And I love myself enough to take the time to address the feeling. because in the past it would have glossed over feelings. And every time I glossed over a feeling, that's where a judgment would form. And it seems like the judgments kind of get calcified, they harden, and then they lead to repeating loops of experience, like this particular person is impossible, or that particular situation is difficult, or this situation over here is scary, right? They kind of harden and then they seem to be real and inflexible. But now I find if I take a lot of care and attention and I stop as often as I can when I don't feel good, and I find the thought I believed and I surrender it to the light of spirit, I give it to spirit, that's the joy
Right.
because it's like giving the pain away.
Um, and I think it's important to note that I think most people who might not, as of yet, be on any kind of spiritual path, Course Miracles otherwise, uh, it comes as a revelation to realize that there is, most of the time, if you talk about ego, they think we're talking about getting a healthy ego, um, or
Mm,
having healthy self esteem. Um,
hmm
but they don't realize that who they've always believed that they were through uh, the moment that they could start thinking in terms of separation, all of that is fictitious. Um, for me, it was a revelation that when it was pointed out, that narrator in your head, it's not real. Um, so unless unless you get that sense that those thoughts and that narration, the one that is choosing the separation, unless it's pointed out that that's not you, then I think it's very important to mention in these type of conversations uh, that there is uh, an ego, that we relate to the ego, that we believe we are the ego, and that we are not truly the ego, that the ego doesn't exist. So
hmm
that's not that you and I are attempting to uh, firm up the ego in our conversation. Uh,
Yeah.
but as Evan asked earlier in the conversation, what is the ego? So unless we get the sense of what it is, and then um, uh, a school teacher will point out or demonstrate even better that that's not you.
Yeah.
Did you have a moment in your study of the course uh, when you had that realization that, oh, I'm not that, I'm not an ego?
I think that came from I before I found the course, I did the work of Byron Katie, a method of self-inquiry.
Right,
And before that, I had read non-dual literature, having no idea why I was doing it for years. I didn't consider myself a seeker. I didn't really have any opinions about it. I didn't talk about it with anybody else, but it was like I needed it, like you need vegetables or something. So that was had been going on in the background. And then I did the work of Byron Katie. And she has a question in her work. Who would you be without that thought? So every time you ask, who would I be without that thought? It's just spaciousness, you know?
right.
And that's how I got to know that place where there wasn't a separate I. What a beautiful way of finding it. I recommend it to anybody who feels willing to look at their thinking and to take their stories apart.
I've often thought that that one question alone uh, was enough. Uh, I mean, I know Katie has a process with the four questions, and it's a
Yes.
very powerful thing. But like you said, if we
hmm
just, who would I be without this thought? Everything disappears. That the experience that you're having without the thought of the experience uh, is completely changed. All my involvement in whatever
hmm
it was that was angering me, all my involvement in anything that was depressing me, all of my involvement with anything that was um, seeming to cause anything within me. Uh, like you said, it's you come to this marvelous, spacious uh, openness that I can't even put any descriptions into that spaciousness. Uh,
Yeah.
and it really is a game changer.
Mhm.
Um, Evan had said that he had heard when people do DMT, there's an ego death. What does that mean? And that would be uh, DMT being plant-based medicine, a plant medicine.
Mhm.
Um, my own experiences with plant-based medicine is it's a doorway, gives you a glimpse, but
Mhm.
I don't know as it's the actuality because um, the experience of that spaciousness that you mentioned
Mhm.
and the um, death of an ego felt very, very different to me.
Mhm. Um, I don't know who said this, but somebody called it mystical spiritual experiences, whether you seem to come by them through doing spiritual work or through any sort of medicine, I don't think it matters. But sometimes you can feel such an expansiveness and such a beauty and such a seeing, that seeing what you've never seen before. It can last for months. It can last for a long time before it seems to go back to normal. That's a free sample. You get a free sample. And I was it Ramana? Was it Nisargadatta Maharaj? I don't know. I kind of feel like somebody called them free samples, and that just stuck with me. And
Right.
then after your free sample, you still need to go home. Like you still need to chop wood, carry water. You still need to do your work. But the free samples are helpful no matter how they come.
I like that. That reminds me of Ram Dass when he met his guru.
Mhm.
Um,
Maybe he
and
called it. Maybe it was Ram Dass.
yeah, it been because his guru when he first met him asked him for the mind medicine,
Mhm.
um, and uh, Ram Dass gave him a huge, what they call a heroic dose, and his guru took all of it and then started acting like he was going crazy, and then
Yeah.
smiled at him and just shrugged, uh, like it had no effect on him whatsoever.
Yeah.
And the lesson was, as long as you as long as you need that tool, the tool can be valuable. But at a certain point,
Mhm.
you no longer need a hammer. The job is over, uh,
Mhm.
and you want to live in that which is there. You no longer need
Mhm.
um, Adolf Huxley, who did uh, research for 40 plus years into every perennial philosophy. Um, and he experimented with all kinds of plant based medicine. And at the end of his life, with the interview, he was asked, so, through all of your esoteric practices and all of the depth of meditation and all of the plant medicine, what have you surmised? Um, what's the meaning of all of this? And he said, I'm a little embarrassed at this point after all these decades of practice and plant medicine. It all comes down to, can we just be a little kinder?
I'm going to be provocative. One of the maybe as a woman, because being socialized to be kind at all times in a very tense way, what a tremendous relief to realize that everyone's nature is kindness and it can just emanate from you because that's what you are. And that all the effort to be kind can be flushed right down the toilet right now. I've never felt so free.
I like that. Let's
Yeah.
go, let's explore that. Let's go down that path because we've talked about this the past couple of days. Um,
Hmm.
that someone mentioned that uh, A Course in Miracles felt very selfish. It was me, 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 is what he was
Hmm.
hearing. And it might sound that way, but the actual practice of A Course in Miracles like you were saying, it's very freeing. And in the absence of a me, there's the possibility of a selfish action. What have you, if someone were to ask you that question, is A Course in Miracles a
Hmm.
selfish practice? Is it a selfish spiritual discipline?
I would say I don't have the power really to call something selfish or not. I mean, I could as we're play acting, but it doesn't mean a lot. But what I can see through the course is it's all about you. It's you, 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 you. You look at your brother, and if all you want to see is your brother's sinlessness, your brother's innocence, if you want to see what you denied because it is the truth, your brother's eternal innocence, or sister or divine sibling, whatever language you need. This is it. This is where everything really starts blossoming, where there are no more excuses and you only want to see the deep kindness and gentleness and beauty that is the true nature of everyone that your ego would call other. So I would say A Course in Miracles is you, 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 you. And also, I wanted to say, oh, Frab just say Kalu Kale, he chortled in his joy, because somebody's quoting Jabberwocky, which I love.
Um, I agree with you 100% on that. And it was beautifully said. And and the amazing thing is when I recognize that beautiful and all encompassing holy light within you, uh, I find out that it was also here all along, uh,
Hmm.
here in this direction. Um, and that uh, this is when, the great prayer, maybe everyone's favorite prayer on the Course of Miracles, I am here only to be truly helpful. Um, the only way you can be truly, truly helpful is seeing your brothers and sisters who they really are.
Yeah.
And then everything unfolds spontaneously and naturally. I don't I don't have to say, um, I will do this for you. Uh, we take care of each other naturally and easily. There's no conscious
Hmm.
decision of um, me doing this for you, you know, which I think is brings it to that quote, um, I need do nothing.
Right. Yeah. But you might find yourself doing stuff, and that's okay.
Right,
That's kind of how I need do nothing plays out.
right. And I just did a little short that I made from a conversation with Alan Ishak, and he was talking about that I need do nothing, um, because the I that would be doing is no longer there. Everything
Hmm.
gets done. You had mentioned Nisargadatta Maharaj. Um, he taught what he eventually came to call Niskara Yoga, which is the yoga of spontaneity. That
Hmm.
there, in the absence of an I doing things, everything still gets done, but there's no doer there.
Hmm.
And I think the course points that out very consistently. That there's no doer. There's
Hmm.
everything's done through the Holy Spirit. The ego believes it's the doer,
Yes.
and the ego is very busy creating an ego world. But this is not the real world.
Yeah, sometimes I hear Elmo's World, la 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 la, Ego's World. And ego thinks everybody else is doing the things too. But the amazing thing as I get further into the course is I'm causing everything to play out for me exactly how it does. I see what I believe, and I believe it because I want to see it. That doesn't take anyone else's power away because it's the same I, just looking through a different peephole, a different person. Kurt Vonnegut used the word peephole like that. And so anybody can say that. I am at cause in my experience and my emotions and in what I'm perceiving. I'm at cause, but God is my cause, and I can just let that cause flow through me. and see what happens.
Um, it's a beautiful place to arrive to,
Hmm.
uh, and I'm always deeply appreciative when it seems that I have. Um, you know, sometimes I get caught, and we use the word arrive or we use the word doer, um, and that seems to imply that there is a an I that would arrive at a place, uh, when the truth it's
Yeah.
already here. So we get sometimes we get lost in the self dichotomy that comes with the use of those type of words. But
Hmm.
it's really the only way. I think sometimes things have to be explained in a negative. Um,
Yeah.
but as the course says, words are but symbols of symbols, twice removed.
Yeah.
Um, but it's the experience itself when
Right.
that holy instant happens. Um, Checking for questions real quick. Our friend Marina says, "Remember the animals, please." And I agree. Hello, Tiger King. Guys, feel free to ask any questions on really any Course in Miracles topic or Course in Miracles related. You had mentioned reading non duality. Um,
Yes.
did you find any, when you slid into A Course in Miracles, did you
Hmm.
find, was it a seamless from non duality into the Course, or
Yeah.
was there any conflict?
I barely thought of non-duality, which was really helpful. I cannot explain to you how I read non-duality. It was with no intention of to gain from it. It was like I had been programmed to do it. And I did a lot of escapist reading. You know how you would read a romance and just throw yourself into it and be carried off and be in that world? That's how I read non-duality. That's how I read everything. So I was not thinking. I was just diving in and being there and letting it wash over me and knowing somehow I just needed to do it or I was supposed to do it. But beyond that, having no thinking about it, I just cannot explain to you how I did not think about it. And then that wound down. And then in another phase of my life, the intense self-inquiry came in. And then in another phase, the course came in. And with everything that comes in, it's really natural and obvious. And I would say if you look at anyone's spiritual path, that's what it is. You always get exactly what you need, exactly how you need it.
That reminds me of an answer that you gave on one of the uh, Facebook groups, course groups,
Hmm.
on the what seems to be a great debate. Is of course a non-dual path,
Hmm.
or is it not? And you sort of, I don't remember the exact words that you said, but you did not take a stance. It
I don't
was
remember.
I, I think your reply was along the lines of, "As you practice, and there's no, you don't have to say it's non-duality, and you don't have to say it
Yeah.
isn't non-dual. As you practice, it just is, and there's
Hmm.
no, the debate is sort of a non-issue when you experience that revelation, when you experience the holy instant, uh, you can't say non-duality or duality. There's just the
No.
experience. When you come out of it through your own maybe perceptions, the lenses that we have in place, in yoga it's called the kleshas, how we view the world,
Hmm.
then we might say this was a non-dual experience, or we might say
Hmm.
this was not a non-dual experience. But as we were fully immersed in the reality of that holy light, that holy instant, it just was. And no description was actually needed.
Yeah. I
You
like
said it.
how Holy Spirit uses every aspect of the duality we made to carry us through and out of the duality back home. So trying to decide if something is dual or non-dual, it's more like, well, the non-dual is here. It's what we are. It's what's here. It's what is here for us, and it will use every perceived aspect of the dual in the perception change that reflects back to us all very clearly what it is we all are. So I don't have to try to avoid the dual. I just will allow its symbols to be used.
Right. Beautifully said. Allow the Holy Spirit to interpret everything.
Hmm.
And then the argument, the debate seems to fall away. Um,
Hmm.
but it seems that as long as I'm insisting upon uh, a viewpoint, as long as I'm insistent on particular words being used to describe the indescribable, uh, I forget who it was, Paul Henderson. Maybe he said, "Don't f the ineffable." Um, you have to just you just have to experience.
I like it.
You said it in that conversation. You said it very beautifully.
How nice. I wish I could remember. It's funny.
Um, but as you do, let me ask you a question about because you do present everything so beautifully. The videos that you make.
Mhm.
Uh, how where did they uh, arrive from? Is this something that you just like naturally unfolds? Is it planned today? I'm going to work on this particular lesson or view or whatever.
I have a sort of overall pattern that I think is probably for the benefit of my remaining ego, just so I have a sense of security. That we do some messages where it's just like writing, I just listen, and just like a secretary, I just type out what I'm hearing. Um, you could call it channeling, but I think everyone's always channeling. We're always channeling who we are not, and that's ego, and that doesn't feel good. Or we're channeling who we are, which is spirit. And when we feel peaceful and joyful when we're channeling who we are. So I would hate to set myself aside and say, I channel and pretend that the same isn't true for everyone. So
Right.
I always say that. But that's what it's like when I receive a written message. I just listen and type. I receive several statements and then I put those in a document. And then from there, as starting points, the message just evolves. And then I also receive a set of several statements if I'm just going to speak. And I speak more from, my personality and experience, but I I feel as I'm going along that I'm also listening and saying what I'm supposed to say and like stopping to hear from, them, I would call my light friends, and being influenced I'm receiving images and sharing those. And um after a long time of practicing self-inquiry, I had an experience, and the day after that experience, I started to hear what I would call a voice that seemed multiple. When I thought of the voice, it definitely seemed like many, many beings talking to me with one voice. And I really hesitate to label, categorize, analyze, interpret any of that, but they did tell me your voice will become our voice. And so that's what I'm listening to, and it is becoming my voice. But my job now is to hear their voice, which is the harmonic voice of love, um, through you, through everyone, because they share everyone's true nature of love, of light. And I'm supposed to literally channel that through everyone and everything I meet too. So it's big.
Right. We had Corinne Zupko up a couple weeks ago, and
Hmm.
she very much loves to talk about the clairaudience,
Hmm.
clairvoyance. When you're experiencing uh, the voice, how are you literally hearing the voice, or is it more of a resonance? Is it more of a feeling, kinesthetic? Like which Claire would you think?
Yeah, it's feeling, it's seeing images, it's sometimes being given a memory, hearing in the sense of thoughts, but it weird compared when I first experienced it, I was like, how am I hearing you? What what I'm crazy, so it's not like the normal experience of hearing your thoughts, but it is like that in how it's not audible.
Was there any fear when you first started hearing it, uh, or was there more of a
Hmm.
reassurance that everything is as should be?
I was startled, so there was a degree of fear. It didn't seem to be off the charts. Um, I did I did start to get critical and call myself insane, so that's an aspect of fear. Before I started sharing, this happened in 2010, and I didn't start formally sharing in a way that stuck around until 2017. So it took quite a while before I would put it out there. I don't know what my point was there. Oh, in the time in between, I would start to write and then I would take everything and delete it. So I feel frustrated. So that's an aspect of fear. But
Right.
yeah, I had stuff to work through.
When you started uh, when you started hearing the loving message, did that start to
Hmm.
alleviate the fear that nothing that could be
Oh,
offering so much love
definitely.
um, could ever be
Yeah.
that bad? Real quick, I'm gonna say
Right.
hi.
That's why I trusted it. Yeah. And
Right.
they put A Course in Miracles in my lap pretty soon after they started talking to me. And seeing that A Course in Miracles said everything they were saying to me, as a human, it felt much easier to trust a big heavy book. And then I wouldn't feel so crazy myself and I could trust them enough to listen.
Um, I'll tell you a quick story that what happened to
Mhm.
me when I was a kid. I want to say hi to our friend Chloe real quick, as well as her daughter Kier. They're sending love. Thank you so much. When I was a kid, maybe 6, 7 years old, I got up out of bed in the middle of the night to get some water, and I heard voices. My parents were asleep; they were school children, uh, from the living room saying, "Eric, come downstairs. We have something to tell you."
Oh.
And I was so scared. I ran back in bed, pulled the covers up over my head, um, and I wonder what was the
Yeah,
message.
that's cool.
Uh, had I been um, had I not been blocked by that fear, you know, what would I have heard? What would I have walked downstairs
Right.
to find? Something, nothing. I don't know. But the voices were very clear, and the voices weren't threatening. They were just so unexpected that my immediate response
Yeah.
was fear.
Yeah, there's a fight in there that wants to fight against whatever that is. Yeah.
Um,
I think they're here now.
the only other time I had a very clear uh, voice like that was, and it wasn't a voice. I can only say it was coming from downstairs, but it wasn't because it was coming from within me somewhere. But
Mhm.
I because it was saying come downstairs, I immediately took it as the voice was more all encompassing. Um, when I was probably around that same age, maybe a little older, I was being a brat. Um, I was chasing after my cat, uh, and the cat ran under the bed, and I went over to bent over. No one was in the house, and a voice said, "Don't do that." And I I immediately stopped and said, "Okay, okay, I won't do it." I
That
didn't
was
jump in.
direct.
It was very direct. I didn't jump back in bed and pull the covers over, but I took that message very seriously. Okay, you don't want me, you don't want me to do this, um, and uh, just those are my experiences with like what felt like direct channeling. Uh,
Mhm.
what felt a little less direct was uh, after I'd quit drinking a decade plus, um, and being completely lost, sort of, in my sobriety. That I was very happy with the gift that was given of my sobriety.
Mhm.
It happened by grace. You know, sometimes people ask me, was it hard for you to quit drinking after a decade of self-destructive drinking? And my honest answer is no, because I never tried. I never tried to quit drinking.
That's beautiful.
Um, I was given a clear, I was given a clear gift. I
Mhm.
saw that if I kept drinking, this is where my life would go, and it was going to be a tragic ending for me and fearfully maybe for other people. Um, and or I could go this way, and whatever was in this direction was unknown, but it wasn't going to be a tragedy,
Mhm.
and it was a true gift. And without a conscious choice, I just went in the direction of never drinking again, and it's been 26 years. Um, but one day I was meditating, and I finished my meditation, and I asked myself, "So now what? I don't drink. Uh, I'm in a whole new place. What should I do?" And I got a very clear message: be God's hero,
Yeah.
which I had no idea what that meant. Uh,
I love it.
but I took a pen and a notebook, and I wrote an intuitive poem. Does God have a hero? And it was based on my beginning studies of Course in Miracles, as well as uh, some yogic study that I was doing, a little bit of Buddhist thought. And then I took each stanza of the poem and very intuitively wrote uh, a little essay on how to apply that in my life. And it became the very first
Wow.
book that I wrote, Does God Have a Hero? And it felt like a little intuitively gifted, uh, and I could say at this point, I could say channeled material handbook on how to
Yeah.
live my life.
I love the flow there. I think with so many things that we do where there's a flow, we don't understand that that's channeling, the flow
Right.
is the flow of love and the flow of ease, the flow of beauty, the flow of joy. That's just what we are. We're very simple. We're all very simple.
I love what you said about that we're always channeling, but
Hmm.
what are we channeling? Are we channeling the ego or are we channeling the Holy Spirit?
Hmm.
Um, could you fill in a little more information about that? How do you think? How do you go about uh, making that shift? That okay, I've been channeling the ego, and this
Hmm.
is where it has brought me. Uh, and now I want to be a more open channel to the Holy Spirit.
So I would say first recognize that we all channel spirit part of the time. So no matter how intense or grim things seem to be, you have those moments where you're your natural self. And so that's already present. It's already here. So all you really need to do is learn to turn toward what actually helps you and everybody, which is your natural self. It's the most natural thing about you. And then the second part of that I would say is it's like practicing hygiene. It's like being kind enough to yourself that when you don't feel good, you're willing to stop and let all the rest of the world go away for a moment and just locate one thing without a big story, just one thing. I'm going to follow the thread from this feeling of frustration or whatever it is to one thought I believe. And then I'm going to give that thought to the light in us to what is real, to healing, however, whatever symbol you want to use, Holy Spirit, you know, this person shouldn't be acting like that. I'll give just this one thought to Spirit, and then I'll reorient. And you can reorient towards something that speaks of peace and truth to you. Today, I'm reorienting toward, um, today, the peace of God envelops me. And I forget the second part. It's two lines. And I forget all things except God's love. That's what the second line is. So when I stop to reorient today, I think of that. I give myself the time. And that's your garden of your natural self that you're cultivating. When you stop to reorient toward peace and truth in whatever form that is. For me, it's a lesson from A Course in Miracles. And then your garden, your resting place just grows bigger around you, and you have a place to rest. And from there, then in any situation, what you need to think, what you need to say, what you need to do will just become obvious to you because you're loved that much. You are supplied, you are cherished. It will come into your mind, you'll know.
Beautiful. And all of that becomes more and more seamless
Hmm.
as as we like with anything, playing a musical instrument, learning how to drive. Uh,
Yeah.
when I learned how to drive, it was very tense hands on the wheel, and you know, almost afraid to you know change the radio station or adjust the mirror. I
Yeah.
was there. But as you get better at driving, it becomes a more seamless experience. Or same with playing a musical
Mhm.
instrument, that you practice and practice, and then sometimes before you even realize it, you're actually playing something that is quite beautiful.
Mhm. Yeah, you
Um,
understand you're worthy of that practice. You deserve the peace you can find when you stop.
do you, a couple weeks ago, I had Dove Fishman up.
Hmm.
He's been studying the course since he's one of the longest,
Yeah.
just about 50 years now. And he said, I guess it was maybe 25 or 30 years in, he had a sudden intuition to um, stop reading it and stop the workbook
Huh.
lessons and just live it and just allow it to be expressed. Although he said there were certain things he carried with him. Uh, one
Hmm.
was as a mantra, lesson 25, because it was an instant reset. I do not know what anything is for.
Oh, I
Um,
love it. Yes.
and it really is an instant reset. Uh, when we
Yeah.
remind ourselves, I don't know what anything is for, but the
Right.
Holy Spirit has a purpose for everything.
Yeah.
So when I relinquish my need to understand what this is for, and like you just beautifully described, trust the Holy Spirit to show me what it's for and what I'm
Hmm.
supposed to do with it. And he also said he thought that if at this point, after you've been through the workbook, however many times you feel directed to do so, um, lesson and their reviews, 200 to 220, where the theme is its review, and the theme is the most repeated line in all of the course. I am not a body, I am free,
I'm
for I am so as
free.
God created me. Uh,
Yeah.
and he believed that those 20 lessons contained the entire essence of the course. So, and he said, just for him, but maybe at a certain point, um, it might be time to put the book aside
Oh,
and,
yeah.
or, use it very selectively. And
Hmm.
Alan Ishak, who's been practicing since the early 80s, um, he talks about now he will, in his practice meditation, he will use the lesson as the introduction to his meditation. like setting the intent, and then he steps into his meditation, and that message is the lesson is carried through the
Mhm.
meditation, and he finds himself living it through the course of his life.
That's actually how I receive the outlines of my messages. I meditate on the lesson for the day, and then I receive the several statements. And it's really interesting to just see how when a certain practice is done, it just turns off like a faucet. Like you couldn't even go back to it if you tried. It's now behind you, right? And next, if anything is supposed to come next, who knows? We don't know. But we get shown and it gets made obvious to us. So just we're so provided for. It gets made so obvious.
It does. Um, so for your own, I know I asked you this question before. Um, you're you're almost continuously going through the book, right? At this point,
Hmm. Yeah.
and I have been as well. Uh, and I feel that uh, it's not any type of. It feels less of a practice and more that I'm just guided to allow these lessons to be expressed through me. Um,
Hmm.
so although I don't feel guided to put the book down, uh, it feels different. Again, less of a practice, like we were talking about with the musical instrument, where you practice, you practice, you practice.
Yeah.
Now it really feels like music in my life.
Hmm. I think
Um,
we do. That's been my experience. You hit those periods where it's just like you're being played. You're being played like an instrument. And then in my experience also, I'll hit a little period of density where it's like, yeah, you got that. Okay, now this. And then I have to kind of move through the density. I didn't realize I was still holding a resistance somewhere. And then I dive back in. I'm not sure what this comment is related to, but I just saw it as why don't you ask Steve Martin the jerk about your special purpose? I don't know what that means, but I will say that when I think of Steve Martin in the jerk, it brings me such joy because I watched that movie quite a bit when I was a kid. And I don't know, just the joy in that type of humor in that film. So silly,
hey,
so simple.
anyone who can get that much enjoyment when the new phone book arrives, um, is pretty awesome, as far as I'm concerned. You remember the scene when he ran through the streets? The new phone book is here. The new phone book is here. Um,
I remember the glasses.
right.
He
My
took off the glasses.
all-time favorite scene is when he was leaving his wife, and um, he said, well, I'm not going to stay where I'm not welcomed or wanted. I don't need you. I don't need anything. And he turns to walk away, and he goes, except for this cup. I need this cup. And he starts walking out, and he goes, and this lamp. I need this lamp. And he picks up this lamp, and as he's working his way, and I need this. And then you finally see him walking down the street, and he's like lugging all this stuff. Um,
I love
that,
it.
that's actually sort of what we were talking about.
Yeah.
It's a really good metaphor. As long as we think that we need the course, we're going to be, well, I need this, and I need this, and I can't give this up.
Hmm.
But at some point, we literally are guided to open our arms. We don't need anything because everything's provided
Yeah.
for already. If Steve Martin had realized that, he would not be walking down the street with his hands full of stuff that he thought he needed.
Right. That's right.
Um,
Yeah.
it is Course in Course Miracles when we get to the manual for teachers, uh, a sticking point for me, and has
Hmm.
been for about a year or so when they talk about trust. Uh,
Hmm.
I have found myself on that edge in the abyss of uh, ultimately trusting that everything is that I am cared for, that I am cared for, that I am cared for, that Spirit provides, that God is the only source. Nothing can be taken from me if God is the only source. Uh,
Hmm.
and then I'm on that edge, and I find myself acting as Steve Martin and saying, "But I need this." Um,
Yeah.
you know, God says, jump, and I will catch you. And I go, okay, here I go. But I'm going to take this with me, and I'm going to take this with me, and I'm going to need this. Um, so I keep being told to come to the edge empty-handed, and I
Hmm.
still find myself grabbing less, and grabbing less, and grabbing less, but still grabbing. Um, this has been an important uh, my lesson more than anything right now is I'm so happy to actually be at this lesson that I'm
Yeah.
at that point of ultimate trust that the universe will truly provide everything. What a wonderful place to be, but what a very scary place to be because
Yeah.
there's still part of me that doesn't quite believe that it will.
I see the image of a tree in the fall, and it has one leaf left on it. And the leaf is brown, it's dry, but it's still attached to the tree. And I feel like I don't have to go up to the tree and pluck it off. It's going to fall off exactly when it does, and it'll be the last leaf, and it'll be perfect.
I like that. I will.
Yeah.
I will carry those words with me. I wrote a poem years ago. Um, I asked the spring leaves, "Why do you cling?" And the answer later came to me in autumn shades of wonder. That we cling as long as we believe we have to cling, but
Yeah.
sooner or later we come to the autumn of our spiritual surrender, and
Hmm.
everything is naturally let go without any effort. Uh,
Yeah.
Thank you. You know, we were talking to Revelations, and uh, for the second time this week, having a friend up talking, I was given a little bit of a revelation. I don't need to worry about uh, when I'm ready to let go because everything will be
Great.
let go. Thank you so much.
It's like it's already written down when you're going to do that. You're just the actor.
The script is written. Um, well,
Yeah.
uh, Julie, you actually led me uh, to that very very important uh, insight. More than an insight, just something that seems very vital to me right now. Thank you so much for that. Um,
Yeah, you're welcome. We can
yeah,
soak in it together. I think it's for me too.
uh, it is a you know I kept thinking of trust is a place that I'm going to arrive to, but it's already here, and when it happens, uh, it's already happened. The script's been written. Everything, you know,
Hmm.
as they say in the course, that the answer to the uh, the answer to the birth of the ego was already in place
Hmm.
when you know when everything came into um, the tiny mad idea. When the tiny mad idea seemed to happen, uh, the answer, the solution to that was given in the very same instant, which was the Holy Spirit. Uh, so right now, everything seems too fresh for me to put into words, but I'm going to let this
Yeah.
process for a bit. Uh, but something very important was given to me, and I appreciate you facilitating it.
Thanks. I think I see the time collapse factor of the miracle too, because when we look at anyone at all and we can see you are trust, your very nature is trust. That's who you are. It's like we remember for everybody else who they are, and then we receive it ourselves. Oh, I am trust. That's what I am. Trust is natural.
This is so true. Um, we put so much pressure on ourselves to get something
Hmm.
that, you know, I kept thinking that when I get to this point of trust, um, and then as you just pointed out, I am that trust. I am that. Uh, I'm not standing on the edge because there's no edge.
Yeah.
Uh, it really just show every single one as seriously as we take all of our problems. Uh, and they seem very serious when we're experiencing them, but ultimately, so they're part of the illusion, part of the dream.
Yeah, the first thing what I call my light friends said to me was, "You are an actress in our favorite soap opera, and we are following your story with great interest." So when I that just makes me laugh. When I put those glasses back on, it's the soap opera and it's meaningless. But what we are is very beautiful and has all the meaning. And so here we are, and we'll just be guided through and out of the soap opera.
Right. I think it's very important to point out when we say, none of this is real, that it's a dream, that none of it is meant to diminish the experience of things seemingly
Hmm.
to be very real. That,
Hmm.
you know, we would never go up to someone who is suffering, who has suffered any kind of great loss, and, say, shrug it off. It's not real. Uh,
Right.
you know, that you honor what people are and what they're feeling, including ourselves.
Hmm.
You know, when we've experienced a loss, uh, when my father passed away, I grieved. And yet at the same time, I knew that truly he wasn't lost. I did not lose my father,
Hmm.
that my father uh, was as present as he always was, and joined with me and always with me. But on this level, we've talked about level confusion before. On this level, you know, you honor the loss, you honor what you've gone through without trying to bypass anything. It's definitely not a course in bypassing.
Right. Yeah. If we're in the presence of someone who's suffering, to the extent that I'm still empathizing in the wrong way, I'm going to be suffering too. And so I need to pay careful and close attention to that and reorient as best I can and see where spirit takes me as far as, do I need to say or do anything? And I'll have no idea what it is. I won't go into the situation knowing how to be helpful, and I'll be shown if uh, I was going to say empathizing incorrectly, relating to suffering, that I'm all turned around. I have no idea what to do. So it's a great gift to be in a situation where someone's navigating this depth. And at the same time, suffering, these life situations that are supposed to be full of suffering sometimes aren't. So my dad passed and he was on hospice and we had a long time to approach it. So on the day he died, there was a dinosaur sheet on his hospital bed in my sister's house. She wanted to bring some color and some fun in. And when the funeral home people came to take the body, it makes perfect sense to me now. They took the dinosaur sheet, the bottom sheet on the bed, and just scooped up his body and took the sheet with them because it was the easiest way to move the body. But when we went back in the room after, we both looked at each other. We're just like, the dinosaur sheet is gone. They took the dinosaur sheet. And we were just laughing. And in that moment of just, my dad could be a very joyful person. In that moment of laughter, it was just, I don't know, all I can say is sometimes the laughter of this situation we put ourselves in can just hit you and you never know when. And and it's okay. And then in another moment the deep suffering of it will also hit you.
Right.
And that is completely okay. Even if you're in a birthday party and you're supposed to be happy, it's all good.
It's all good. It's funny you mentioned
Yeah.
laughter. Um, it's been a big theme for a couple weeks now. That truly, that's the answer because uh, the entire tiny mad idea, which gave birth to the ego and this world, the experiences that we're having, came when we remember not to laugh.
Yes. That's true.
And
I forgot.
uh, so our way home, our way to remember that we're already home, is to find ourselves in those joyful moments of laughter uh, that
Yeah.
we've never left.
Hmm.
Was still there. All of this never actually took place.
Yeah. Before both of my parents passed, within about 24 hours, I felt the most beautiful swirl within me, like of an up and an out. And I thought, oh, it's like you leave your body before you leave your body sometimes, and before the body dies. And it was the most beautiful thing I've ever felt. And getting that perspective on it, how could you be upset? Oh my gosh, they went up in the swirl. I want to go. It was beautiful, really beautiful.
Um, our friend Marina has to leave. Says good night and God bless. Um, Sissy is Soul Star. Uh, how wild is that? Nothing is truly happening to us, not even right now.
Yeah.
Um, and there are moments when I truly, truly get that.
Hmm.
Um, and those moments can carry you really far, really long,
Yeah.
I think. Um, so we're going to get ready to wrap things up, Julie. It's been a
Yeah.
joyful hour and a half with you. It just flew by. Um,
It did.
thank you so much. I know the Diona had mentioned that wanting to maybe find a way where uh, we all wouldn't have you two wouldn't have to be physically in the same room to make it easier.
Oh, yeah. She thought maybe we could do three phones, but if it's not possible, it's not a big deal.
Uh, technically, right now on a phone, I don't think it is unless I have um, like either Zoom or I think it's called Restream, and
Okay.
I will look into getting that, and we'll see if we can
Yeah.
make that
I
happen.
would just say go if it flows. And if it doesn't flow, it's fine too.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Um,
Yeah.
and thank you, Tom. Dr. Tom says another wonderful conversation. Thank you both. Sissy says thank
Thanks,
you, beautiful.
everybody.
Yep. Thank you, beautiful sister Julie. Um, so I think speaking of Deanna, I think she's going to come up Sunday,
Yeah,
and
she said 1 o'clock.
yep. So uh, we're going to talk more course talk. I have uh, James K. Anderson coming up this evening. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
It's ringing a bell. Can you tell me anything more?
He wrote a book called Living a Radical Life, and
Oh,
it
okay.
was the subtitle was along the lines of um, uh, hidden principles in the Course in Miracles that almost no one seems to get.
Oh, oh, I love it. Maybe I can pop in. I mean, to listen tonight.
Um, yeah, I have the book. I've worked through it. I will send you. He has some videos, um,
Okay,
and
yeah,
I'll
I would like to
send you a link
listen.
to his videos. Uh,
Hmm.
very interesting. Um, and I have not read the whole book completely. I've been working through it for some time, and I don't know if it's hidden things that people have missed or things that we might not yet be ready to accept and incorporate. That I think sometimes it's very hard to get to the point where we're truly, truly living the course. Uh,
Yeah.
but there's no hurry. You know,
No.
we get to where we get to when we're supposed to get there. Um, so it's going to be fun to unpack it all uh,
Yeah.
with Jim. He'll be up at 5:25 tonight, and then next week. Uh, oh, um, Lori Jones, um, who is give me 1 second. I want to make sure I get her whole name uh, correct. She is you will know her. I'll let you know. I'll send you a message. Anyway, she's coming up
Oh.
on Monday. Uh,
Hmm.
so we got some more great, great people. And then you and I will meet again uh, in January, if not sooner, when
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah, that'll work.
you and I and Diona will have our
Yeah.
December conversation.
Yeah,
So,
we'll figure something out.
right, let's start working on that whenever works for you,
Yeah.
because I know it's going to be a
Okay.
little more difficult for you with the holidays than it might be for me. Uh, so,
Yeah. I'm sure I can find a day in there somewhere.
okay, I'm looking forward to it. So,
Okay,
Julie,
thanks everybody.
thank you
Thanks,
so
Yogi.
much. You're welcome. And we will see you soon, right? Hey,
Yeah.
before you go, can you tell everyone how to find you
Yeah.
on YouTube?
Oh, yeah. If you go, maybe the easiest way is lovesbeginning.com, but on YouTube it's Julie Boerst, Boerst. So
And
either one.
yep, I'm going to put that right there. Guys, um, you're in for a beautiful experience. I hope that you find Julie and spend some time hanging out there. Uh, there's daily messages, right?
Not always. Sometimes life is just flowing too fast, but often it's daily. Yeah.
Uh, but what you'll find right now is there's so much beautiful material that it's enough to keep you busy uh, for quite some time if you dive in and
A
watch. And
lot of messages. Yeah.
uh,
They all say the same thing. If you've heard one, you've heard them all.
but they all say the same thing in beautifully different language each time. Uh,
Yeah. That's how it affects me. It like gets me from a different angle. Each one, they're for me. They're messages for me. So if you hear me saying you can apply it to you if you want, but it's really, I'm hearing the message for me. And it's getting me from a slightly different angle, and it's just finding a way to get through to me.
um, and my opinion, each one is a work of art, beautifully presented.
Thanks.
Uh, so our friend Sissy dropped a link to your channel. So I hope everyone reaches out.
Thank you.
And okay, Julie, we will talk very soon.
Thank you. A beautiful community here. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Take care, everyone. Come on back at 5:25. If you got nothing better to do, and we'll pick it up.
Yeah, I will
Thanks
if I
again.
can.
Oh, awesome. Thank you, Julie.
See ya.